Is this recording?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's gonna start now, the real thing, because we were just rambling.
Okay. Well, everybody, welcome back. As I promised, we'd be here again. We're not that easy to get rid of. It's like a bad case of gonorrhea.
Well, but it still takes a shot. It can be in the head or a penicillin, but never mind.
So, I'm Adrien Field, and this beautiful,
I'm
gorgeous
Miss Velvet,
creature.
and I do not need prescription glasses. And welcome to... Oh shit, hold up. Do we
We
have a
still
name?
didn't come up with a name? I thought you were gonna do this.
Girl, with my schedules, you're the house lady. Lady
No,
of the house.
yeah, but I've had my other
Hold
distractions.
up. I took some notes as well. Give me a second. No, first things first, I need it.
Cheers, John. He's great.
Hold up, let me see some names that I pointed first. So we have the Beauty and the Beast. We're
Who's
not gonna
the beauty
say
and who's the beast?
that's the joy of it. We're not gonna say who's who. There was
And?
another one that I didn't remember. That was the Problematics.
The problematics. Okay.
No, it didn't really hit up. Okay, we're checking ChatGPT for it.
Let's
Jesus
see.
Christ.
ChatGPT knows everything. ChatGPT, do you have any ideas for a YouTube video series name featuring a drag queen and a gay man?
I can't wait to see how this turns out.
Alright, let's
Oh,
see.
did it get what I said?
Sounds like a fun project.
Okay.
A fabulous duo. It captures the essence of both a drag queen and a gay man working together, and it has a catchy, inviting feel.
You think
What kind of
ChatGPT?
content will you be focusing on?
What kind of content will we be focusing on? Well, we're
Girl,
gonna-
give me more names. The Fabulous Duo is not gonna do it.
No, that's not okay. It's not fabulous.
Got it? Let's go for something more fabulous. How about 1, glitter and sass? Queens and queers. 3,
Queens and queers, that's not so bad.
5, dragon gag.
No, we're not.
Did you hear that dragon gag?
4,
I kind of love that. Dragon gag.
Dragon gag. Dragon or drag end?
Drag and gag.
I was like dragon.
Dragon gag is actually kind of fierce.
I'm not feeling it. Do you know what? Oh, fuck it. Do they have a version of the Chat GPT?
ChatGPT.
Chat GPT.
That's what we are.
Chat GPT.
Cheers to ChatGPT.
And
Welcome everyone.
to Chat GPT. Yeah, I like the sound of that. Also,
Yeah, so
PT.
you can come to us with all of those questions that you can't ask ChatGPT. You can come to ChatGPT and we'll have answers for you.
Does it even exist? A chat? No, it doesn't matter. We're gonna take it
We
to the
are
bank now.
ChatGPT from now on. So if
PT
they
also
want to
because
come
of
and sue
Lisbon,
us,
Portugal. PT.
perfect.
And gay because you.
Is she still going? No. I think she's still listening.
I love the energy.
Somebody is.
ChatGPT sounds like a fantastic name for your series, especially with the play on words. It's catchy and clever, and it sets the stage for fun and engaging content. Plus,
Well-
the idea of being the go-to for questions people might hesitate to ask elsewhere is brilliant. It really ties everything together.
We got AI's approval.
Well, if ChatGPT loves ChatGPT, then I think that we're on the right path.
That's because we're gonna be besties. Did you hear the voice? She was an ally.
We do have a topic of this week's episode. This forthcoming episode and the ones after this are going to have more of a theme that we'll get into and discuss, as opposed to the just kind of nonsense rambling that we did in our introduction episode.
Yeah, our mind's already too messed up. We need something to stick to the plan.
Exactly. So this week, we are going to be talking about...
We're basically gonna do a little bit of a comparison because I'm very intrigued. I mean, we're both well traveled. We have very distinct backgrounds, and I think it can be fun to compare our experiences when it comes into the gay culture in America versus in Europe.
Yes.
Gay dating in America versus in Europe. So it's gonna be a little bit of like topics and
Okay.
comparing them vice versa.
Well, let me just say that I feel like I am the least American in existence. Like, I really don't identify with being American. I consider myself like a trans-nationalist.
Yeah, you have healthcare.
Well, I identify really as French.
That's not a compliment.
Well, to me it is. If someone says to me that I look French or they, like, actually, I remember I was out to lunch with some friends. There was a new guy there who didn't know me. And he was saying something about how, I just assumed you were European. And I was like, well, thank you very much. To
He
me,
was
this is a
very
big
European.
compliment. You know, like, to me,
To anyone else outside of Europe, it is a compliment.
yeah, I feel like Europe stands for sophistication. And to me, Americans are so basic. And so that's kind of why I just don't identify with it. But, you know, I really feel like that does encompass also a lot of the gay culture in America. I feel like it's very basic. So there's a lot that I want to get into this subject, actually. I don't even know where to start, but let me give some background. So I did grow up in the United States. I grew up in a shitty little state called New Jersey, you might have heard of, that was made famous.
Shitty little state. Nothing little about it, just big time shit, honey.
Big time shit.
Oh my god, no, I'm kidding.
That was famous for Jersey Shore, famous for a lot of
I
really
rest my case, y'all.
trashy reality TV shows. But I mean, the reality is New Jersey was a very suburban upbringing. You know, I grew up about 2 hours from New York City. I moved to New York when I was 18 after having finished my school in France. And then as a 20-year-old, I lived in New York and I lived in Los Angeles. So I feel like I do have an understanding of like both coasts, the elite both coasts of the United States. I did not date a huge amount when I lived. What is that?
My vibrator.
Oh, okay. So I didn't have like a huge dating experience in America, but I had enough to kind of have a perspective on gay men there.
Okay, so you mentioned New York. You mentioned LA.
Yes.
What about Miami? It's the only gay center.
I visited Miami, and I did briefly date a daddy in Miami.
And only missing the other big capital, I believe, San Fran.
Been to San Francisco as well. I think that also has a very unique niche gay scene. Like, I think that America, being such a big country, like, it does have specific, like, subdivisions of gays. I think that the kind of Pacific Northwest gays are a specific niche. You kind of got the more, like, granola, maybe bear-esque, like, hairier, kind of au naturel gays. In New York, you have more of these, I don't know, like, very
bougie,
Broadway kind of, like, very ambitious gays. You know, you have the finance gays.
The Capricorns are there.
I don't know anything about astrology. We're missing our producer to give, you know, some insight on that. But so yeah, you have like the New York gays who probably think of themselves as better than everybody else, because people in New York, they really think like our city is the best in the world and we're the shit. And then you have the LA gays.
It's different there.
The cocaine. I don't know. I don't think the cocaine is still that big these days in America. That's another difference, by the way. No, but just I feel like drugs here in Europe are way more readily available amongst the gays than in the United States. This I noticed also. Yes, we can get into that as a subset. But finally, just finishing up this, you know, round out. You know, the Miami gays, they've got more of the kind of like Latin flair, you know, and then yeah. So I mean, it's each geographical area has its own type of gay, but overall, I find Americans to be quite basic. You know, like even if they've traveled to Europe, they don't have a very worldly perspective. Usually, they only speak one language, unless you get like a hot Latino who could be bilingual. But you know, to me, they're missing the kind of sophistication of Europeans, the sort of like global, worldlier perspective, and I think the Europeans are sluttier than Americans.
Oh, for sure. I can confirm that firsthand.
I mean, Americans, like, we have a Puritan past, so I feel that still haunts us.
But it really depends on the country. No, it really doesn't. I was gonna say something that isn't even true. It doesn't matter the country, we're sluts as fuck. It really doesn't matter, Jesus Christ. Because I was like, no, but in Portugal, well, shut the hell
No,
up
but
now.
here, like, I feel like I have come into my gay self since moving to Europe. Since moving here, I went to my first orgy, my first gay sauna experience. I go to the nude beach all the time. Like, people here are so much more liberated. The kind of, like, warehouse parties that happen here where there's all of, like, the sex in the dark rooms.
Then again,
like,
it depends also on the places that you visit, because you have the both extremes in Europe. Literally the both extremes. In the same country, even. You have the big-time sluts and the big-time conservatives everywhere you go in Europe.
Yeah, but still, the big-time sluts here are way bigger sluts than in the United States. Like, in the U.S., you do have, like, very small communities. Like, San Francisco, they're known for this Folsom Fair, which is, like, a kink festival kind of thing. But this is, like, so niche, like, so kind of underground. Whereas, I mean, I've never been to Berlin. Maybe you have, maybe you can speak on this. But it
Just
seems
to
like
the
they're
airport,
like, crazy kinky, right?
And Berlin is entirely different. It's a whole different world, even. Never been to Berlin, but I've been to London a couple of times, and I even lived there for a short period. And London, to me, is just a small glimpse of what Berlin gives.
They're pretty, like, out there, London Brits, right?
They do explore a lot, like, they really go deep into the kink and into the openness of sexuality and identity and gender and fetish and fantasy. They really go into depth with all of those boxes. When
And I feel like
say
Americans
depth,
don't have fantasy.
it's
Like,
still America is the place of taboos.
it's so taboo, and I think that, as a gay growing up there, and maybe it's changed, like I am a millennial, so I don't know how the Gen Z has grown up and how that's impacted their perception of like being gay, if they still have the same kind of like internalized homophobia, Like I had internalized homophobia,
Yeah, me
even
too.
though I, from 18 years old, was living in New York City. Like it took me through my 20s, I think, to work through that. And I feel like, again, I don't know if that's a generational thing or a geographical thing, but I feel like, I hooked up with an 18-year-old Portuguese boy. He was legal, okay? I checked. He was actually 18. But he was so experienced.
Yep.
And me at 18, I had zero experience. So either that's like, he's gotten busy like already years, had years of experience.
Pretty much, yeah. In here, I mean, I would say the average age that people lose their virginity is like, what, 15, 16?
Really? In
At
Europe?
least here in Europe, yeah.
How old were you?
16 as well.
I was a late bloomer. I was just before my 19th birthday.
Late or not, no, that's still an average age.
But see, I mean, but that's a
But in
big...
here it's like 14, 15, 16 years. Um, could be part because we tend to explore.
But maybe
Sex
also
a lot.
because I wasn't Catholic, so I never had the opportunity to be fondled as a child.
I was never really a Catholic even. I mean, when I was growing up, my parents, there was a certain amount of time where they were even weakened. So never mind religion when it comes to that, trust me. But it was not because of that upbringing. It
But
was
why do you
just
think the
because of
Europeans
culture
are
as
so
well.
much more
I don't know, I think
liberated?
I think it's a little bit of the cultural side. Like, we, in Portugal at least, I'm going to speak from the Portuguese point of view, we are still a big time influenced, but we have a Mediterranean culture even if we don't see the Mediterranean. And that's a map for you, Americans. We're bathed by the Atlantic, but we share the Mediterranean culture, and it is true.
I thought Portugal was in Spain.
No, it's just a small village, and Spain is in the No, I'm kidding.
That's what most Americans think. They're like,
It is.
isn't
You think
Portugal just a town in
city-
Spain?
Well, compared to the size of their towns, sure, I guess.
But yeah, so basically, whether it's Spain, the little village of
It's,
Portugal, or Italy, or France, like, Europeans are just more slutty, more liberated.
We in here in the south of Europe at least, we tend to explore sexuality a lot, but the feelings with that. So it's not always so animal. We have a lot of like intimacy. We like intimacy. We like the touch. We like everything. We like the caliente, the fuego, the vida.
Can you pass that memo on to the Portuguese guy that I'm dating?
No, I'm already too busy being cold bitch to everyone else that has been.
Yeah, I think maybe he didn't get that gene, but
You sure he's Portuguese? Have you checked
he's very
his birth
Portuguese.
certificate?
He,
I don't mean
he
the-
has he's so Portuguese. To me,
My
I feel like
condolences.
again, maybe this is a topic for a different subject altogether. As I said before, I feel like we could talk about Portuguese men for hours.
And we will.
But Portuguese men, I feel like, are different from, let's say, Italians or Spanish. I find the Portuguese to be more reserved, less tactile, and less romantic, whereas like the Spanish, I feel like that just oozes out of them, and the Italians even more so, like the Italians. I have to, actually, I'm going to put up on the screen, because I saved it as a screenshot, when I was in Rome, I got the most over-the-top Grindr messages from this Italian guy calling me like, Prince, all I want to do is look at you, you're so perfect. Like, I was like, every man should be Italian, like, this is so good for my ego to get this over-the-top, like, adoration, and that could only be an Italian man. He could not be anything else.
Okay, so you read those messages. If somebody would say, and this is my Portuguese mindset, still in affirmation of what you were saying earlier, if a guy would text me like, I just want to look at you, I'd be like, hey, lock, this is getting cringe.
No, but the thing is, I would never hook up with him. He was not even attractive to me, but like, if you want to speak poetry to me and tell me how beautiful I am, like, I'm all here for it.
I'm not. Just buy me dinner. I'm more of an actions kind of guy. And I don't mind just getting that kind of talkative love or verbal love through other kind of expressions, but that's me. I've never dealt very well with compliments or something like that. So I've always tend to like, oh, bitch, shut up.
But see,
shut your
maybe
mouth.
that's the Portuguese part in you, where I say like I feel Portuguese men are a bit more reserved, like less romantic, you know. So obviously we can't, just like in America, how it's very
Verbally
vast.
romantic, at least, maybe.
Just like America, how you have all different subsets of gays. Obviously, Portuguese gays are going to be slightly different from Spanish, from French, from Italian. You know, each culture has its own kind of characteristics.
Definitely. However, I don't know. It's just so different because I've dated Spanish, I've dated Italian, I've dated Greek, I've dated Norwegian, and I agree. The Portuguese are way more reserved. The others are way more tactile. Are more. I'm not even gonna say clingy, but it's like there's some sort of emotional dependence that I see. Is that the word? Dependence. Um,
What do
I'm
you
not
think
exactly
about the
how to
difference
explain
between
that, if it's a
northern
cultural-
and southern
Portuguese.
European styles?
Oh, European.
So like comparing like, you know, Scandinavians or Germans even versus Southern Europeans.
I actually enjoyed a lot my time with the Norwegian, and I also dated a Danish guy for a very short period. But I actually enjoyed both experiences a lot. It was entirely different. It wasn't exactly the most heartwarming verbally, but neither am I, so that's even. You just ruin one house. But it was very romantic still. Like we would say hours in silence, just
In
with a-
silence.
with the fireplace, playing chess,
Naked?
listening to as well,
Like,
listening
paint
to
me the
cigarettes
fantasy
after.
here.
Okay, so we were like, there was a lot of art in his house, a lot of plants. He had big plata, big money.
Were you on a bearskin rug?
What is that?
A
Bearskin?
bearskin rug. You know, like a dead
Oh,
bear that's been
bearskin
skinned.
rug.
You know, it's like a
No, no,
kind
no,
of-
no, no, no. We were in another Norwegian designer kind of rug. I don't know, but he had a lot of art in his house. And we're just listening to like cigarettes after sex. We were playing chess. We were having wine. We were cooking naked.
Oh wow.
And it wasn't exactly verbal, and that's what I love. It doesn't have to be verbal. But it also may be because of my own upbringing, my own traumas as a child. Anything that is verbal, it's a complete like turn off for me.
But was
a
it
little
tactile?
bit.
Because I
But
hear
it was
that,
tactile and it was in actions. It was big time tactile as well.
because I hear that the Northern Europeans are much also kind of reserved and less tactile.
Well, perhaps because they're used to have their hands in their pockets the whole time with the fucking cold.
You know what's strange
You.
is, yes, but I have almost no experience with Northern Europeans. I actually have to consult my list of like nationalities that I've hooked up with, because I do keep a list of this.
I was thinking you were gonna
it's over
have to
30.
consult your agent now.
No, but like I feel like I'm not their type. These Nordic guys who are like very white
Oh, you'd
and
be
pale.
surprised.
I don't know. I come off maybe as like too ethnic looking for them, like, or something. Like they don't seem to be the ones that come after me, whereas the ones that do like
Where
me.
were you? Where did you search? Did you go to those places? Or like
No,
a
I've
longer
never even
trip?
been. But I'm saying like when they're visiting here or whatever, you know, or I mean, in all the places where I lived, if there's like some visitor from some Nordic country, like I'm not going to be the one that they message, especially if they're like the typical tall, blonde hair, blue eyes, like that kind of guy is never really into me.
They're not really. Most of them, from my experience, are not really into that mostly, because that's what they already have in their countries. They want the exotic.
Well, then I don't know. Something's wrong with me, I guess.
Yeah, your mind, your mindset is what's wrong with you. Jesus Christ, Mary.
Yeah, I also want to say, you know, about American gays, like I have a rule that I won't date an American. I'm not interested in I'm really not interested
Wow.
in them. It's like, first of all, it's a big turnoff for me. One, because I'm already so familiar with the culture, so it doesn't excite me. Like, I like the feeling of, you know, a contrast or like learning from someone and the like excitement of, you know, like cultures melding and things like this. In American, it just seems so basic to me. I don't even like the American accents, like the way that most Americans speak kind of gets on my nerves.
For me, it's the attitude.
What is the attitude of an American? for you?
Entitlement.
Okay.
The
Yes.
level of entitlement that they feel whenever they
And
go
they feel
someplace
like an American
else.
thinks like really the world revolves around the United
But
States.
they are kind, though. They may be cunts, but they're kind. Well,
It's like there's the
po-
kindness in simplicity. We're
Yeah.
gonna get canceled. Like all the Americans are gonna unfollow this channel. But I'm just being honest. You know, it's not that I don't.
just my opinion.
It's not that I don't like Americans. It's just that I don't like them to date. You know, like I.
You can still fuck with them.
No, not that either. Because I need to have something, you know, to be also intellectually excited by. And I have to say that when I was living in America, I was not very popular with the gays. Like, I didn't have a lot of sex. I probably have hooked up with more Portuguese men
Than
in the
American
last
people?
year than in all of my life living in America.
You've been a big time slut, huh? You've
I
been
really
keeping
have.
yourself busy.
This has been my sexual renaissance. And,
It's an act 2 now.
well, yes, now it's like the tragedy part has begun.
And it has a horse in the covers. Are you sure? Girl, that's a lot to take in. I know you're a bottom, but God, my.
Stop calling me a bottom, please. Our next episode actually is a good teaser. Will be about that everybody should be verse. We'll just
I can try to tease,
drop
you
that.
just-
We'll just drop that in there for now.
You can try to tease, but it's just gonna piss them off.
So yeah, I don't know. How do you feel? Do you like dating Portuguese men?
I do actually, because they reminded me of like a teddy bear. You know, they're very cuddly. They are very
Yes,
cuddly.
okay.
When they are intimate, when they open the path to intimacy, usually you have to do it. They're very reserved, so it's gonna always happen in closed doors.
Yes,
in your own
was
house,
my experience.
not in public. In public, they can hold hands if you're having dinner, but they're not gonna be like, "Oh, mon amour, mon cher," blah blah blah. Blah. No, that's the French, that's the Spanish,
Spanish.
that's the Italian. But when a Portuguese guy is inside their houses, you will not have the best culture to cuddle with. I can assure you. And sex is good. It's intimate.
I agree.
It's the synergy of energy. It's some of the best sex I've ever had. And some of the best relationships I've ever had was with Portuguese men. Because they're so dedicated into the whole energy, the whole making sure that you are enjoying and they enjoy seeing you enjoying.
Yes,
So it's very mutual.
it's almost very like there's a kind of
proximate.
respect, I guess. that
Even though they're
almost comes
reserved,
into it.
but
Yeah.
it's always outside. When they're in
Yeah.
their own space, that's when they really open up. And that's a good thing.
All of these fantasy, all of these like memories are flooding back into my mind of that's proving.
Should we put a
exactly
sad
what you
song
said.
here? Yeah, we're gonna add a sad song.
We don't
We're
need
gonna-
to. We don't need to get into this.
We're not gonna get into it. It's private details.
Yeah, I feel like that's only gonna hasten the end of whatever it is that I'm experiencing.
But you agree with what I'm saying, right?
I absolutely agree, and I feel that's 100%. Now, have you ever hooked up with an American?
I did, yeah. Even on a. Never mind. I did, yeah.
And how was the experience?
It was quick. All the American people that I've been with, they are always rushed. Even in terms of the kissing, the rubbing, they need to get to it fast, they need to blah blah blah. And then they're kind of sloppy. When it comes to hygiene, when it comes into the whole action, it's like they need to be taught.
But
And
you
I'm
know what
not
I
in
do think the
time for
positive
school.
thing about Americans is? They're circumcised.
Oh, so.
I like a circumcised penis.
Oh, hey. And
Now,
I'm not
don't-
even
don't
Jewish just because I
reveal-
have a big nose. I can reveal
But-
anything, it's tucked. I don't even know why I tuck. I'm wearing a skirt with a big puff.
But like this is the one thing about Europeans, obviously, is that generally, obviously, we can't. There are some exclusions, but Europeans are uncut, and I find a cut penis to be more aesthetically pleasing.
It is, and much more hygienic. Jesus Christ. For the uncut dudes, please pull it down and wash it thoroughly.
Anyway, do we have any closing thoughts on this subject, European versus American gays? So who else can we offend in
I'm
this?
also interested to know the opinions on other Americans and on Europeans living in America. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, but that's something we can ask for them, perhaps. Like, I want to hear.
Yeah,
kind
why
of
don't
their
you share?
stories.
Do you have any thoughts?
I'm
What are
very
what have you come in contact with, whether it's Europeans or Americans? We've also left out such a large swath of people. I mean, we've forgotten all about the Latinos, but we don't have first-hand experience. I mean, fucking yes, but we're not Latino, so we can't really speak to
Not firsthand.
exactly
Yeah.
that.
We can only. I don't have firsthand experience with Americans either. You don't have.
But I
You're
do.
more
I mean, I thank you. I am more European. I will take that compliment.
It's because of the amount of wine you drink. I mean, Jesus Christ, this isn't. What's her name? Lisa Reno.
Lisa Rinna? She's so
Don't
American.
talk about my husband.
She's so American. That's
She
such
is.
That's such a typical American
You're like the European
lady.
version of her in a lesbian haircut.
Well, with that said, this I think concludes our discussion / debate
so.
on
The
Americans
first episode of-
versus Europeans.
First episode of Chat GPT.
Yeah, so if you have any questions for ChatGPT, you can, I was going to say tweet us, but I don't even have Twitter.
I have, but it's only for porn.
Oh, well, send us a message on Instagram or leave us a comment down below. We'll get back to you. If you have any ideas about future topics, though we actually have already plenty of ideas. We don't really need yours right now.
No, but I want to hear
more
what they
questions.
think.
Yes, send us whatever. Be in touch. We're going to keep drinking.
Oh, God, yes, I need a
Cheers,
fucking another
darling.
one. Cheers, my love.
Cheers to you. Until the next time, take care.
Et voila, and do your regular tests, honey.
And do